All right, folks, gonna go over a super quick lecture on assertiveness. If you're not certain about this or you need a little bit more information, check out the assertiveness test that's posted. Check out the little video that's in the assertiveness, like additional reading area, because I felt like all that was really great information. So I'm not gonna go into deep depth on this. But I do want you to understand this and how it works. But I feel like with the assignment, with the YouTube videos, with the reading, with the lady that talks about the stuff in the reading, that if I talk too much about this, it could be potentially overkill. So with that, we're going to be focusing on passive, assertive, and aggressive response styles. And we're going to talk about how we can pivot to using more assertive verbal and nonverbal behaviors in a variety of interpersonal communication situations. Sometimes the reason why I have a really difficult time with assertive communication is because we're just not that good at boundaries. And so because we're not good at boundaries, we end up lapsing into aggressive communication, or we end up lapsing into passive communication. And then once we've been passive for so long, we either ghost people or we freak out on people. And that's not what we want to do. That's not what we're hoping to get to. So when on this, we're going to be talking about conflict styles. I will talk about conflict types a little bit later when I get into something I'm going to upload on conflict. But for this one, I just want to focus on styles. So there's 3 different styles that we can use when we do conflict. What we normally think of when we think of conflict and how we communicate is aggressive. When people are yelling at each other, screaming at each other, calling each other horrible names. Again, we don't want to be that way. We don't want to do that thing. But again, this is what we think of when we think of conflict. But there is another style that happens, and we understand this one a little bit, right? It's a little bit like passive. Gosh, I really wish someone would take me out to dinner, right? You're having a conflict, but you're not really you're not saying what you want. Or, I'm so lonely these days, right? Like, you're not saying what you really want. You're being very passive in how you bring something up. You're not really saying exactly what you want. You're not being very forthcoming with what you want. You're being very passive in your ability to try to communicate the thought or idea. Now, what we want to do is we want to be assertive. Assertive says, hey, I want to go to dinner with you this Thursday at blah, blah, blah restaurant, right? We're saying what our needs are. We're being very clear in what our needs are. We're setting a timetable on our needs. And it's very clear, right? We're just saying this is what we want, right? If someone asks us to do something and we're not comfortable with it, instead of being like, well, I don't know, or how dare you ask me to do something like that? We would say, honestly, I'm not really comfortable doing that. How about I do blah instead, right? Because then you're communicating your boundaries. It's a lot easier that way. And to go over these styles in a little bit more detail for you, what I'm going to ask you to do is look at these styles attributes, and this is what I want you to work from when it's time for you to post videos. I'm going to go over the activity so it's a little bit more clear for you, but the activity is not a group activity, it's an individual activity, and it's really honestly not that hard to do in my estimation. I will also upload a short video in this area talking about the activity as well. But this is what passive communication or a passive person does with their communication. They're afraid to speak up. They speak really softly and they're afraid to make people upset. They'll avoid looking at people. Sometimes they'll have very blank expression and show little to no expression. They will slouch or withdraw away from someone. They will isolate themselves from the group when a conflict happens. They'll agree with people despite their own personal feelings being hurt or damaged. They value their self less than other people. They're willing to hurt themselves rather than hurt anyone else. They do not reach their goals, and they don't even know sometimes they have goals. Their mindset is, you're okay and I'm not. Now, with this style, it only works for a very short period of time, and then eventually you get fed up because you're not asking for what you need. When you don't ask for what you need, eventually you're going to just like bail on a person, or you'll get to the place where you freak out on someone and you get overly aggressive in asking for what you want, right? So let's look at what an overly aggressive person does. An overly aggressive person interrupts or talks over someone. They speak really loudly. They will glare and stare to try to intimidate people. They will intimidate other people by using expressions, or they'll gesticulate wildly in a way that is scary to feel folks. They'll stand very rigidly. They'll cross their arms, and sometimes they'll invade the personal space of other people. Aggressive people tend to control groups and don't allow people to share their thoughts and feelings. They only consider their own feelings and only, generally speaking, make demands of other people. They tend to value themselves more than they value other people. They will hurt others to avoid being hurt themselves. They reach their own goals, but they hurt other people in the process. And their general mindset is, I'm okay and you're not. So aggressive people can be successful in a very, very short-term space. The problem is they are only successful in short-term spaces because they tend to burn away folks that might be willing to work with them. They don't really look at the long term. They're really looking at just trying to win themselves and not making sure other people win. And so this is a very short-term way of seeing and interacting with the world, because we're not trying to make sure that we're working with others in a way where they would want to work with us too. Now, assertive communication. This is what we want to attempt to do. An assertive person is not afraid to speak openly. When they do mention something, when they say, I'm not comfortable with that, they use a conversational tone. They're not yelling at someone when they say it. They'll look at people and they'll look at them in the eye and they'll say, really, I'm honestly not comfortable doing like that. They show expression which matches their message. So again, they're not going to be overly upset. They're not going to be overly intimidating. They're just going to say, I'm not comfortable with this. They're very relaxed and they are very open in their stance and very open in their expressions, because they're just saying what they're comfortable or not comfortable doing. They participate in groups and they make sure other people are heard in groups, but they don't dominate groups. They keep to their point, right? So if you're not comfortable doing something, you got to remember what you're comfortable doing and what you're not comfortable doing, and don't let people get you off track with everything else, right? If you're comfortable doing this, you can just go back to over and over again, like saying, I'm not comfortable doing this thing, but I am willing to do this thing. Just keep repeating that over and over again, unless they say something that you're actually comfortable doing, and then you can agree with them in that place. But remember what your point is, and remember to come back to your point over and over again. They value themselves as equals to others, and they value others as equal to themselves, which make them very easy to work with. They do their best to not hurt anybody, and they're really effective because they also they consider themselves a somebody too. And in order to have really good relationships with folks, you can't allow yourself to be hurt by other people. They usually are able to reach their goals without hurting other people. And they have people that are much more willing to work with them because they're willing to work with others in a proactive way. So more and more often, people are willing to work with them in groups. And their motto is, I'm okay and you're okay. That's what they're looking to hit. So again, this is not a group activity. This is an individual activity. What I want you to do is, from a movie, from a music video, from whatever, I just need a clip that exemplifies each conflict style. I want you to embed the video. If you're not sure how to embed the video, if you go to YouTube and share, in the share area, instead of the link, there's going to be a thing that says embed code. And I'll see if I can't make a video of me embedding the videos of the things that I want you to do. I need you to show me 5 reasons, according to the thing that we saw here, of why the video is passive, So 5 different areas in this passive area about why they're passive. When you do another video, so one video is on passive, another video is on aggressive, so show me 5 things here. And then in the passive and the aggressive video, I need you to write in there what's one thing they could have done to make this video an assertive video. And then lastly, I need you to give me an example of an assertive form of communication. Give me 5 examples of what they do or what they did that make this assertive. So it's proof of that thing. So with that, I just want you to give me a sense of like these movie clips, how they're passive, how they're aggressive, and then what could be done to move them to assertive styles. If it is an assertive video, just tell me how it's assertive and what they do that makes it assertive. And with that, that is the assignment. It is not that bad. You're probably binging a lot of movies and TV shows, and now that you understand these different styles, I'm sure you can think of clips that will help fit what I need to see for this assignment. So with that, if anything's unclear or if I could make things more clear for you, please reach out and let me know.